With kettlebell training, one of the most fundamental concepts to understand is the hip hinge and how the hip hinge differs from the squat. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to perform what's called a dowel hinge using this wooden dowel here. You can also use a PVC pipe if you have one. So I'm going to turn around, put the dowel on my back, and connect with 3 different points of contact. Here at my head, here at my shoulder blades, and then down here at my glutes. My hands are going to be behind my neck and in the small of my back. From here, I'm going to perform the hip hinge, maintaining those 3 points of contact throughout the duration of the movement. Once you've mastered the hip hinge movement pattern, we're ready to load the movement. In its most basic form, we're going to do a single kettlebell deadlift. To set it up, you're going to stand directly above your kettlebell. The handle of the kettlebell should be right in between your ankle bones. From here, you're going to find your hip crease, push your hips back, and ensure that same setup like we did with the dowel hinge, with your shoulders higher than your hips and your hips higher than your knees. Once you're in position, you're going to grab the handle of the kettlebell and imagine you're trying to bend the metal in half and externally rotate your shoulders to pull them as far down away from your ears as possible. Think about putting your shoulder blades into your back pockets. What that's going to do is activate your posterior chain, especially your lats, and then we're ready to pick up the kettlebell. It looks like this. Once you've mastered the kettlebell deadlift, we are ready to move into the kettlebell swing. Before we can actually swing the kettlebell, we need to learn how to hike it. Hiking a kettlebell is actually quite similar to hiking a football. To set up for your kettlebell hike, you're going to put your feet slightly wider than hip width with a slight turnout of the feet. That's generally comfortable for most people. You're going to set it up the same way we did the deadlift, with the shoulders higher than the hips and the hips higher than the knees. From here, you're going to fold in half at your hip crease and push your hips back as far as you can. When performing the hike, you're going to bring the kettlebell from the ground back between your legs. The goal here is to connect the forearm to the upper part of the thigh. If you look here, you can see there's an imaginary triangle from one knee across to the other knee and then up into my groin. You want the kettlebell to go in between that triangle. If the kettlebell goes below the triangle, you're going to end up with compensated movement patterns. You're going to end up potentially with a rounded back and inefficient movement. After the hike, we're ready to move into the actual kettlebell swing. Think of the swing as a standing plank with straight arms. So what I mean by that is you have a nice tall posture, thinking about lengthening your spine, and your arms are going to be out in front of your chest, about chest height, doesn't need to go any higher than that. Your shoulders here are going to be packed, so shoulder blades pulling together in the back. Think about pulling your shoulder blades into your back pockets. We don't want to shrug, we want to do the opposite. Keep as much space as possible between your ears and shoulders. In your midsection, think about connecting your pelvis and your rib cage. So we don't want to have this happen, and we don't want to have this happen. Long spine. The kettlebell swing is a fast, powerful, and explosive movement. As such, it's important to utilize the power breath when performing the kettlebell swing. The timing of the breath is extremely important as well. We want to perform the exhale at the exact moment that the hips come to extension from the hike into the swing. It'll look like this.